Amir Khan has apparently invoked a contractual clause which grants him an immediate rematch with Kell Brook. Now, I spoke in several recent videos about the fact that a lot of these top-level fighters, and I'm aware that Khan is no longer top-level at the moment, but he used to be a championship-level fighter, held multiple world titles in the past, etc. And a lot of these guys are insufferable optimists. No matter how bad they look in the ring, no matter how bad they look in sparring, no matter how many times they get brutally knocked out, as is the case with Amir Khan, they still try and look on the bright side. They still try and take positives, even from the most dire of situations. And of course, this is a very good character trait to have in life if you want to be successful, because the road to success is fraught with bumps and trips and falls and so on. If you're the kind of person that is easily discouraged, then you're not going to make it. You have to be the kind of person who always sees the positive in everything. As I mentioned in the previous video, you go in a sparring session, you get absolutely ruined. Someone like Amir Khan is going to think, well, actually, I did that one thing well. And if I could just build on that one thing, they focus on what they did well. They focus on their successes. And so this is an example of what I'm talking about with Amir Khan right now, where he's apparently at least thinking about invoking this rematch clause with Kell Brook. See, the problem is it's a double-edged sword with regards to this insufferable optimism. Because on one hand, Khan would never have got to where he is today. He would never have overcome the Prescott defeat, the Danny Garcia defeat, etc., to go on to have good wins after that. He would never have done that without this mentality. But at the same time, there reaches a point where the physical ability of the fighter starts to deteriorate. But this mentality, this insufferable optimism, doesn't deteriorate at the same rate. So he's got the same kind of optimism and self-belief that he would have had 4 or 5 years ago. But his body's not the same as 4 or 5 years ago. You see? And of course, the danger is these fighters have made it so far and they've been so successful in their career because they didn't listen to the critics. If Amir Khan had listened to the critics, again, after the Prescott defeat, he probably would have retired then. They don't listen to the critics, okay? They learn to trust themselves. They learn to believe in themselves even when other people don't. And so when someone has got by their whole career and been very successful doing that, they're not so quick to listen to the naysayers even towards the end of their career. You see, this is the danger. It's like Evander Holyfield many years ago when he was still fighting. He had the same mentality as he did when he came back from his first defeat against Riddick Bowe and his defeat against Michael Moorer. He kept coming back thinking, they wrote me off loads of times in the past and I proved them wrong time and time again. This time will be the same. So with all that being said, my take on Khan apparently at least thinking about invoking this rematch clause with Kell Brook. Obviously, I think it's a bad idea. I understand that Khan isn't going to listen to me, but I hope he listens to the people around him. I hope he listens to his dad. I hope he listens to other family members and friends and people who love him, who should, at this stage, be telling him to pack it in, because he got absolutely obliterated by Kell Brook. Every punch that Kell Brook landed solid was hurting him. And it's not just the fact that Khan's punch resistance was poor. It's always been poor. It's the fact that he was getting hit so consistently. Remember, Khan has got quicker hands than Kell Brook. Used to have quicker feet. They didn't look that much quicker this time around at this stage of his career, but used to have quicker feet. But Brook was still catching him. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Khan's reflexes are not there. He never had a great defense to begin with. But in his younger days, when he was more fleet of foot and his reactions were better than they are now, he was able to get away from more shots. I mean, go look at Khan when he fought Canelo Alvarez. He was able to get away from most of Alvarez's shots for however long that fight lasted until the knockout. But against Kell Brook, he was getting caught clean right away. So Khan is going to do himself no favors, in my view, in my estimation, getting back in there against Kell Brook. I know that it's a big grudge match and there's a lot of pride on the line. And he was talking about getting rid of Kell Brook out of the sport and teaching him a lesson and all this kind of stuff. It was personal for both of them. Local or national bragging rights. I get it. And that's why I think Khan is finding it so hard to let go on this occasion. Because when he lost to Terence Crawford, he found that an easier, as bitter pill as it was, easier to swallow than this pill. Because Crawford was just another top American. He wasn't someone that he had any kind of personal grudge with. And Khan's lost before. He got knocked out by Canelo, got beaten by Danny Garcia, lost controversially to Lamont Peterson, obviously lost to Bradus Prescott, and he never went looking for that rematch. So why Kell Brook? Well, again, I just explained it. It's personal. It means more on a personal level to Khan than a fight with Terence Crawford. The only other explanation I could offer for why Khan would want to pursue this rematch is money. But he's made a load of money. I mean, the Billy Dib fight made him a load of money, and that was a nothing fight. So could it be money? Could it be, oh, well, let me just get a few extra million for the rematch? It's the best payday I'm going to get at the moment, particularly off the back of a one-sided beatdown like I just received. Maybe he's thinking, let's just go for it. But how much better can your next training camp really be? He said that training camp went great with Bomac and preparation was perfect, etc. And he went in there and got absolutely torn to pieces. If I'm trying to put myself in the mind of Amir Khan, and I'm sure that's a pretty bizarre place, but from a boxing sense, if I'm trying to put myself in his mind, understanding that he's this insufferable optimist that so many top fighters are, he's probably going to think, well, Kell Brook's been more active than me. And because he's been more active than me, he was sharper and his timing was better and so on. So if I use that as, let's say, a way to get the ring rust off, I'll be better in the rematch. Also, I think Khan will probably take heart from the fact that he never actually got dropped in the fight. Bizarrely, he was hurt many times, legs all over the place, but he didn't actually go down. And so I'm sure Khan will be thinking, well, my chin can't be that bad. I took all his punches, I didn't go down. That's how these people think, folks. Okay. But I think it would be ill-advised for Khan to take this particular challenge again. But hey, he's his own man. We'll see what he wants to do. I'm sure Kell Brook is going to be bang on it. I mean, he'll be contractually obliged, right, if Khan does invoke this rematch clause. But I don't think he's going to be annoyed about having to fight Amir Khan again. The question is, though, will Sky want to see it? Because the first fight was so one-sided that surely there'll be far less demand from the public for the second fight. And less demand means less money for both guys. So Khan might say, bang, let's do the rematch. But where's the money actually going to come from? Are they on a specific amount for the rematch? Or is it just a specific split, etc.? This can be another problem. It might be a case of Khan entertaining the rematch, but then looking at the numbers and looking how much money he may or may not get, because you have to imagine for a rematch, Kell Brook's split is going to be greater. He might look at that and say, nah, it's not worth it. Who knows? All I can say is I hope the rematch doesn't happen for the sake of Khan's health. And also because I'm not expecting anything particularly different from the first fight. I think Khan is completely shot at this point. I think that first fight showed us that. But hey, he's proven people wrong many, many times in the past. So like I said earlier on in the video, he's not going to listen to naysayers, however well-intentioned they might be. The only people I imagine who might be able to get through to Khan would be people in his inner circle, family members, etc. They might be able to get through to him. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.